Deku and Bakugo walk up to the stage, completely silent, both with their hands in their pockets. They get to the top and immediately stare daggers at each other's. Bakugo with the look of a killer in his eyes. Everyone can feel the tension in the stadium. You could cut it with a knife. Something was up between these two. President Mike interrupts and introduces the two, explaining both of their quirks to everyone as they both stretch, still staring at each other. He's interrupted by Midnight holding up her hand. No one could wait any longer, so instead, they blew it. Straight away, Bakugo takes his hand out of his pockets, his palm igniting right away into a bright flash. Bakugo, using his pockets to keep himself warm, would instantly have a howitzer impact charged. He exploded in as quick as possible, saving the sweat on his hand and igniting it as quickly as possible right in the direction of Deku. Deku's eyes immediately going wide. He was quick, almost as quick as a Nomu, but Deku wasn't going to make that mistake again. He jumps to the left last second using the first word he could think of, return. He didn't even know if an explosion could be returned. Apparently, it could though, as Bakugo loses the explosion from his hand and the sweat that made it. He looks at his hand for a second, Deku's words still ringing in his head. Return? What the hell did that dumbass do? He begins to fall, just managing to catch himself, locking back onto Deku and exploding in once more. Deku dodges for a while, deciding he'd rather end it in one move. He waits and waits, Bakugo growling recklessly and sending AP shots at Deku, blinding him, anything. Deku continuing to dodge until finally Bakugo stops for a breath. Deku smirks. He takes a small breath in. Go to sleep, little boy. Bakugo's eyes go wide. He blocks his ears, but it's too late. Deku's words bouncing in Bakugo's head. His eyes begin to slowly shut. He tries to fight it, blowing explosions. Blowing explosions at himself, but it's no use. Bakugo is defeated and by a very unconventional means too. Deku is given the first place trophy and Bakugo gets the second, but still is asleep. After this, he would go back to class, giving his trophy to his mum, like a little memento. Making his way back to class to see this huge binder of hero internships he has to choose from. He sighs and looks around the room. He got the most and by a long shot. His power was useful as hell. He can rescue, buff you, stop people mid-fight. He's versatile. He looks through his list for about 2 days straight, looking and searching for his best fit. He would even ask from some of the teachers, showing them a small list of ones he had picked out and ones he was iffy on. He went to multiple, Aizawa, President Mike, etc., eventually going up to All Might. They sit down and have a small conversation, Deku bringing up his list and All Might looking through it. You got an invite from Sir All Might? You got an invite from Sir Night-Eye? Deku looks at the sheet. Yes, he did. It kinda slipped his mind. All Might thinks Night-Eye's quirk could help Deku in hand-to-hand combat. Plus, his successors there in Mirio. All Might suggests Deku go to Night-Eye, saying there's a strong third year there that you could train with. Deku, excited, decides to accept, making his way to Sir Night-Eye. He makes his way there, getting let in by Bubble Girl before being taken upstairs. Walking into Sir Night-Eye's room, he sees Sir Night-Eye, a small, scrawny old man and a tall kid with a weird haircut. Deku introduces himself. The three of them introduce themselves to Mirio, All Might in his unbuffed form, and Sir Night-Eye. Straight away, they're put to the test. Deku being told to try his luck against Mirio. Sir Night-Eye curious on how their quirks would interact. Deku agrees to this and eventually they get ready, facing off against Mirio. He could already tell he was strong, but what was his quirk? The battle begins and Mirio slips through the floor. Deku shocked and confused on where he went. He listened. Front, back, up, before looking down. He was down there? Or maybe he teleported? He looks at the floor in front of him, waiting until he hears something from behind. Mirio pops out of the floor. Deku instinctively sending a kick to him, at which Mirio slips right through. Night-Eye's impressed by his reaction speed. Deku looking back and seeing no damage done. What the? He's met by a gut punch by Mirio, sending him flying backwards. Deku kinda out of it shakes himself awake. Halfway in the air, he takes a breath in. Slow down. Deku slows gradually, catching himself before dismissing his technique. He looks on at Mirio, watching closely as once again he falls through the floor. Deku tries something, looking at the floor and speaking again. Release. Mirio shoots from the floor, flying into the air, looking around, confused. Huh? He looks around, seeing Deku standing there. Now stop. Mirio stops midair, floating and unable to use his quirk. Not good. Deku comes in, about to send a mean kick at Mirio until Night Eye stops him. He was more than interested in Deku. For days they would train, All Might overlooking it, watching as Deku learns to predict moves from Night Eye, learning what every command actually does. Release working like Aizawa's erasure. Returning a quirk effect based on its original position. He can also learn more about his physical... he also learns more about his physical buff commands, learning he can use them on others, though it does take a toll on him. Using it on All Might a couple of times after seeing his injury, still not knowing who he was, which genuinely helps a lot. All Might's injury beginning to reshape after about 2 days of this, him feeling way better already. Sir Night Eye can't help but wonder what would have happened if this kid got one for all instead of Mirio. Maybe he just blocked it. Oh my god, sorry. Maybe he just blocked something great from happening. Either way, they continue training. This is until one day Sir Night Eye gets a call. A call from Aizawa. Something had happened. He's returned back to class, confused, seeing a bruised and battered Todoroki and Ida. Ida with a scar on his stomach and on his arm. Ida went to fight Stain and Todoroki came just in time, fighting him off for 5 minutes straight before Endeavor took care of him. A close call. From there, they were gone to the finals. Deku's still training with Night Eye on the side, getting permission from Aizawa to stay a little longer since he wasn't doing any, quote-unquote hero work yet. Deku studying and working with Sir Night Eye would be extra ready. In the finals, he would finish the theory portion with ease and eventually start the prac. Like in canon, they're paired up, Bakugo and Deku being put together, this time against a healed All Might. Deku unintentionally helping his foe in battle. They go to the start line, Deku not even trying to talk to Bakugo. Both of them walk in silence, Bakugo trying to rush off as Deku runs behind. They're hit by a gust of wind tearing the city apart. Deku's blown up and away. He looks around. Stick. Throwing his hand out and grabbing onto the steel support beam. Getting a hold and thankfully saving himself. He sighs, looking down to see All Might already facing off with Bakugo. Bakugo throws a barrage of explosions right at All Might with zero effect at all. All Might looking around for Deku. He eventually catches a glimpse of Deku hiding in the top of a broken building, pushing Bakugo away before running at Deku, appearing right next to him in a blur. So young Midoriya, what will you do now? Deku gets a flashback of the Nomu, the power he felt that day, how powerless he was. He screams, "Go away!" All Might caught off guard would be sent flying backwards against his will, slamming through building after building. Deku looks at him, his throat slightly scratching but fine for the most part. A grin formed on his face. To win this battle would mean to win it over the Nomu at the USJ. Unlike before, Deku ran straight in. All Might seeing him would grin too, knowing the power Deku had from watching him train. All Might mocks, well, young Midoriya, deciding to come at me by yes. He's cut off, Deku's word piercing over his own, ricocheting around the city and around him. Slow. All Might's words slow down. To him, nothing changed until he sees Deku speaking once more. Harden and buff. His words sounding strange and distorted, almost sped up. Then it hit him, or Deku did, slamming a fist into All Might's chin. All Might unable to react due to him being slowed down. Deku starting to feel the strain over himself. Bakugo comes in from above and slams a max power explosion on All Might midair. All Might bouncing off the floor, still slowed down. The impact slowly but surely getting to him. Deku shouts once more, fall. All Might midair slams back down to the floor, his slowness slowly going away, but the force still being on top of him, still being too much. This is until Deku slams to the floor himself. 4 commands in such a short time, and ones that were this strong were just too much. All Might slowly gets off the floor, the weight disappearing and the world around him getting quicker again. He coughs for a second before looking at Deku, smiling. You fought well, Midoriya. Deku looks up, breathing heavily, his throat shredded, until Bakugo comes up from behind him, slamming another max impact explosion at him. All Might being sent back a bit as Bakugo holds out his hand. Nerd, help me out and I'll kill you myself. I'm gonna blast him. You make it bigger, yeah? Before Deku can respond, Bakugo's already pulling the pin, All Might looking up to see a faint light flicker in the distance, before Deku screams, "Amplify!" Him coughing blood after speaking, but his quirk activating just in time. The faint light expands and condenses in front of Bakugo, his explosion shooting out of his gauntlet and absolutely destroying the city. Like, destroying it. At about the same scale as All For One's attack when they first fought the first time, All Might being knocked back into his weak form. The cameras being cut off as Deku and Bakugo make it through the gate. Bakugo helping Deku through. The class is shocked by the outcome. They beat All Might, and the attack was that powerful. After that, they all go back to class, being told by Aizawa about the next big event, the forest training camp. Like in canon, they would go shopping and stuff. Class on as usual. No Shigaraki attack, no nothing. Eventually hopping onto the bus and driving their way to the training camp. Making it halfway up the mountain like in canon before the teachers push the kids off the edge. They make their way through, making it a little bit quicker, thanks to Deku using his quirk on some other people to, increase their quirks. They make it like in canon, having some dinner and sleeping off the first night. The second day rolls around and eventually both classes are sent to do quirk-specific training. Aizawa specifically training with Deku. He notices he has fundamentals down. He could fight hand to hand, his quirk could cover his bases, and he could be used for support, but he still had the weakness to for overusing it, or using it on stronger opponents than him. Aizawa remembering back to the USJ, he was gonna train Deku on that. They would hop into it. Aizawa straight away making Deku use his quirk over and over again constantly with no break. Deku did this all day and all night, legitimately could not speak anymore afterwards, though he felt good about the training. He felt like it was helping. Once again though, he slept the night off and the third day would finally arrive. Deku waking up would go to Aizawa once more, his voice back in action, though today he had a different type of training. He would be trying to use his quirk on himself for extended periods of time, or trying to do two commands at once like buffing himself and healing himself. This would ache, but to his surprise his voice was completely fine. Aizawa was impressed by his progress so far and would let him do his thing. And Deku would do this all day, eventually getting to a point where he could do two buffs at once for a short time or one buff on himself, but be bigger and stronger than usual. Then, finally, the nighttime would come around. Deku and the other class just chilling and doing the haunted forest thing like in canon, being sent in last. Deku walks in, kinda just chilling. Looking around, he had a weird feeling. He thought it was because he was scared of the dark or something. This is until he sees it. Smoke. Thick purple smoke wafting around the forest. He rushes, going in closer and closer. Heal. He jumps in right away, feeling the poison gas take effect on him. His quirk though fights it off. Deku knows it's poisonous. He looks around before yelling, "Release!" The gas shoots backwards and towards a tree in the distance. Deku smirks and rushes in, still healing himself, completely curing the gas in his body. The gas gets fully sucked back up and Deku knows exactly where the person is. Don't move. The man behind the tree is frozen solid, his muscles twitching but completely locked as Deku walks in from the corner. Well, who the hell are you supposed to be? The man's eyes go wide and his body is still locked. He doesn't say a word. Deku shakes his head. That won't do now. His voice goes down, his words once again echoing around the dead silent forest. Tell the truth. The man's eyes snap to Deku, his face shifting as he's forced to tell the truth. He was sent there by a man called All For One to get a kid named Bakugo and Deku. Deku's eyes go wide. They were after him? Not good. He makes the man sleep before jumping off, finding the top of the trees and rushing towards where he came from. Finding the teachers and telling them the info he knew before something slipped his mind. Coda. I didn't really explain this relationship, and I won't either because I'm slack. Just know that Deku rushes off to save him. Aizawa chasing after him from behind. He was a target. He couldn't let Deku go off alone. Deku makes it to the spot, seeing Coda on the edge of a cliff eating his dinner, completely unaware. Deku, panting, looks at him. Coda! Thank God you're safe. Coda looks at him, confused. Safe? Just as he says this, a creak is made from atop a rock behind him. Deku's eyes snapped to see Aizawa behind him, puffed out too. What the hell are you doing, kid? You could get yourself... He's cut off, this time by a single man. A man floating up in the sky in front of him, about 100 meters off in the distance. The man looks at his hand, slowly and ominously floating up. Deku, Aizawa, and Koda are left speechless. They could feel his power from here, his bloodlust. Their eyes go wide as the man stops before looking right at them. His hand slowly lifts from his side, fingers twitching and pulsating. His arm inflates and zaps with electricity. Deku looks on. Something was up. Aizawa spoke first though. We gotta get out. Before he could even move, the attack is launched at them. The forest in front of them, the dirt, the rock and everything completely vanished from the sight as the attack travelled forward. They couldn't dodge. Think. He said the first word that came to his head. Shield. The wind and potency hitting the invisible force in front of them and ricocheting off around it. Aizawa looks at Deku. He saved their life. Now it's time to return the favor. Kid, we're not done yet. He uses his quirk on the man. All for one suddenly begin to fall from the sky as Aizawa cancels his quirks. Deku looking up, his head ringing. He couldn't hear anything. He sees the destruction in front of him, seeing Aizawa sweating and shivering to the right. He had to do something. Looking at All for One in the distance and saying a single word. Die. That's the whole story. Hope you enjoy, and I hope I can make this video 1 hour. I'm pretty sure I can, but you know. If you like this, leave a like, and if you made it this far, comment Diddy. The first person to comment Diddy will be pinned. Once again, huge thanks if you made this far. I had a blast writing this. Yeah, that's about it. If you have any suggestions, drop it down below, and I will see you again next time. Catch ya.